Hello, dear students. I am Samir Velankar. I welcome all of you to this second video on programming a doubly linked list. Now, in the previous video, we saw about insert node function, and I hope you have gone through that insert node very well, where we inserted 4 nodes storing 10, 20, 30, 40. Now, our aim in this video is that we want to display the list. But remember, doubly linked list can be displayed in both orders, forward or backward. In both ways, we can display a doubly linked list. So let's see display forward function. Now, display forward function is going to take the address of the first pointer, because display forward is going to start printing first node, so it wants the access to the first pointer. So we are passing address of first. So let's go to display forward function. Okay, here is display forward. Note, display forward has a pointer to a pointer of node type. This P is going to receive address of first pointer. So maybe we have 10 in the first node, not maybe, we have it. And prev of first node is null, you know. Next is pointing to 20, 20 with prev pointing to 10. Next pointing, next of 20 pointing to 30, and 30 is prev pointing to 20. 30 is next pointing to 40, and 40 is prev. 40 is prev is pointing to 30, but 40 is next is null. Additionally, we have 2 pointers. First, which always stores address of the first node, so it points to the first node, and last pointer, which always stores address of the last node, so it points to last node 40. Now you notice the display forward function. The display forward function has got a pointer P. This is pointer to a pointer which has received address of first. So P points to first. Now onwards, asterisk P in the function is same as first. So although first is not directly accessible in display forward, but first is indirectly accessible, first pointer is indirectly accessible through pointer P. Now what will be the method to display this list in forward direction? Is we declare, check this line which I am encircling, we declare a temporary pointer of node type. So in the memory, there is a new pointer called temp, and remember this temp can point to any node like 10, 20, 30, 40. We start with temp equal to first. I hope you are reading it properly. It's not asterisk P. Although it is asterisk P, it will be taken as first. So this line is temp will point to the same node where first points. You all are watching that first is pointing to node which stores 10. So temp will also point to the same node which stores 10. Okay. So we have started the temp pointer from the first node, and our plan is temp pointer will travel to 20, temp pointer will travel to 30, and so on till it falls down using null pointer of 40. Let's see. Now let's enter the while loop. The while condition is while temp is not equal to null, which is very much true because you observe that temp is pointing to a node, so temp is not null. Hence we enter the while and we print temp arrow data. Now temp arrow data is 10 over here, observe, because temp is pointing to 10. So the first output will be 10. First output will be 10. Notice printing the first node was not a challenge at all. Now any beginner would say first node could have been printed simply by saying print first arrow data, isn't it? First arrow data is also 10. But printing consecutive nodes is challenging, for which temp is going to be used. Let's see. So we have printed temp arrow data. Now the next line, temp should become temp arrow next. Now, if temp becomes temp arrow next, it means temp should point to the same node where temp arrow next is pointing. And listen, temp arrow next, follow the cursor, temp arrow next, this next of 10 is pointing to 20. And we are saying temp should point wherever temp arrow next is pointing. That means temp will discontinue to point to 10, but temp will now point to the second node. I hope you are revising along with me the concept of singly linked list also. The same type of operation we had in singly linked list display. So temp is now pointing at 20. Let's go back to while now. I hope you are not lost in too messy operation encircling over here by me. I'll just erase this. Here we go. After temp is equal to temp arrow next, we'll go back to while. And while will repeat because temp is still not null, isn't it? Temp is very well pointing to 20. So temp is not null. Hence we will enter the while and print temp arrow data. So this time temp arrow data is 20. So notice in the output 20 will get printed after 10. Got it, I hope. The next line is simply temp should point wherever temp arrow next points. But temp arrow next, observe temp arrow next, this next is pointing to 30. 20's next is pointing to 30. So temp will discontinue to point to 30, but now temp pointer will point to, sorry, will discontinue to point to 20, but temp pointer will now point to 30. All right. Now after temp is equal to temp arrow next, let's go back to while. And temp is still not null. As temp is not null, it is pointing to 30. We will enter the while. We will print 30, the data, and temp will become temp arrow next. So if temp becomes temp arrow next, listen, temp will now not point to 30, but it will point to the next node 40. As we go in the while loop again, temp is still not null because temp is pointing to 40. So we will enter the while and print 40, the data. And now starts the fun part. Now temp equal to temp arrow next, the statement which I am encircling, temp becomes temp arrow next means temp will become, look at this, temp will become temp arrow next. Note temp arrow next is null. That means temp will literally become null. Temp is a pointer and temp literally becomes null. The pointer becomes null. Isn't it so? Now if you go back to while and inquire, can we repeat? No, it is. No, because temp should not be null. Only then the while can repeat. But temp is now equal to null. So the while loop simply breaks, and after the while loop, display forward function ends. Great. So what we did, we started temp from the first node. We asked, hello, temp, are you pointing to a valid node? Are you not null? Then we will print 10, the data. Then we said, temp, you better point to next node, temp equal to temp arrow next. We asked in the while loop, temp, are you pointing to a valid node? Are you not null? If you are not null, only then we are interested. We have printed the data 20, and then we have said temp, you now move to the next node. Again check, is temp not null? Very much true, temp is not null because it is pointing to 30. We printed 30 and then said temp, you point to the next node. Okay, temp, are you not null? Temp says, yes, I am not null. So we will print 40, the data, and temp becomes temp arrow next. But now when temp becomes temp arrow next is null. So temp is now going to become literally null. You observe temp will become null. And as temp becomes null, while breaks and the display forward ends. So surely we have got all the outputs 10, 20, 30, 40. I repeat, slate is becoming shabby. Slate is becoming messy, but you follow the instructions properly, read the program with me, draw the diagrams on a rough page. You practice these diagrams every time, and I bet on it, you will have no problem whatsoever understanding coding. Thank you very much.